The majority of people are ready to throw their aims and purposes overboard and give up at the first sign of opposition or misfortune.
Most people will never build real wealth. And no, it's not because they're not smart enough, or because they were born without advantages, or even because the system is unfair, though often it is. They fail because they never learn how to think in the language of wealth. They speak dreams with their mouths, but make decisions with their fears. They chase the illusion of success, while their inner compass is rusted with doubt, hesitation, and invisible chains they've carried since childhood. They're taught how to earn a living, not how to build a life. They're rewarded for compliance, not creativity. Trained to survive, never to lead, never to rise, never to thrive. Wealth isn't something you stumble into. It isn't handed out in lotteries, granted by fate, or gifted through luck. Wealth is engineered, intentionally, relentlessly, and consciously. It is first built in the mind, long before it ever touches the hand. And that, right there, is where most people lose. They never learn to command their thoughts. They rent their mind to circumstances instead of owning it with vision. Somewhere long ago, a man named Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times trying to invent a light bulb. No instructions, no applause, just a voice in his head that refused to quit. When asked why he didn't stop, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset, that's wealth. Not the money, but the mental steel that can take rejection, loss, humiliation, and still rise forward with absolute conviction. But most people, they can't handle 10 failures, let alone 10,000. They fold after one. They retreat when criticized. They run back to safety, to wages, to the comfort of conformity, blind to the truth that the herd is broken. And they stay broke because their identity is built on sand. Because they never do the hard, uncomfortable, necessary work of building belief. That's the real foundation. Belief, not hype, not hope. Belief so deep it lives in your bones, so unshakable it bleeds into every word, every habit, every single decision you make. Andrew Carnegie could spot it in men before they saw it in themselves. Napoleon Hill studied it. Henry Ford breathed it. Walt Disney turned it into castles. You must become the kind of person who says, "Even if no one else believes in me, I do, and that's enough." But belief isn't magic. It isn't reciting affirmations in the mirror. It's earned, it's constructed. It's proven to yourself through daily disciplined action. You want to believe you're a wealth builder? Then live like one. Wake up early. Read what others ignore. Delay gratification. Replace complaints with goals. Challenge every weak thought that enters your mind. Because belief is built through behavior. Repetition creates identity. The man who acts rich while broke eventually becomes rich. The man who thinks poor while rich eventually loses it all. And that's the real question. What are your thoughts doing right now? The average person doesn't fail at wealth because they're unlucky. They fail because they're unclear. They drift. They dabble. They multitask their potential into nothing. Clarity, real obsessive clarity, is the rarest and most valuable currency on earth. Because when you know exactly what you want, the world stops distracting you. Noise fades. Temptations lose power. You become unstoppable. Walt Disney once walked through a dusty orange grove in California and saw something no one else could, a theme park. Nothing around him made sense. No business plan, no logic. But in his mind, it was already real. That's clarity. That's the vision. And vision is a skill, one most people never develop. Most people say they want more money, but they don't define it. No number, no plan, no strategy, no deadline. Vague goals lead to vague results, and vagueness kills dreams. So write it down. All of it. Make your dream concrete. Give it a skeleton. Give it blood, breath, and a deadline. And then, discipline, ruthless discipline. The unbreakable bridge between wishful thinkers and actual winners. Discipline is what separates the 97% who talk about change from the 3% who do something about it. Do you think Carnegie built steel empires on feelings? That Oprah climbed from poverty with positive vibes? That Steve Jobs built Apple on raw motivation alone? No, they were built with structure. They built with rhythm. They built when it was boring. They built when it hurt. They built when no one believed. Most people fail because they make choices based on emotion, not commitment. I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. I'll start next week. And next week becomes next month. And next month becomes next year. And next year. It becomes a forgotten life, Wealth is not friendly. It is not forgiving. It does not reward excuses, only execution. If you want it, you have to become your own leader. You have to show up when no one is watching. Do what must be done when it's least convenient. Because wealth isn't earned in public, it's forged in private. Most people underestimate the cost. They think knowledge is enough. So they binge books, they hoard podcasts, they stuff their minds but never move their feet. Here's a truth no one tells you. Knowing is not doing. Knowing does not pay. Action does. Wealth doesn't respect how much you've consumed. It respects how much you've endured. You can have a brain full of wisdom and still be broke. You can have degrees and still live paycheck to paycheck. Because wealth doesn't answer to intellect, it answers to courage. Courage to begin. Courage to risk. Courage to be mocked. Courage to walk alone for as long as it takes. And that's why so few have it. Because most people want safety more than freedom. They want validation more than progress. They want followers more than mastery. But wealth does not bend to the comfortable, it bows to the courageous. So ask yourself this: what value do I bring that is so undeniable, so needed, so rare, that the world has no choice but to reward me for it? Because wealth isn't chased, it's attracted. It's pulled toward clarity, pulled toward excellence, pulled toward the person who outlasts, outworks, and outthinks the masses. And if you still believe you don't have time, remember this: the rich and the poor have the same 24 hours. The difference: the rich treat time like capital. The poor treat time like a toy. Most people start their day by scrolling, watching others live, others win, others build. But wealth builders, they create, they prioritize, they plan. They attack their day with precision. They don't run on accident, they run by design. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Dost thou love life? Then do not squander time, for that is the stuff life is made of." Most people fail at wealth not because they lack opportunity, but because they don't value the minutes. They don't understand that wasted hours become wasted years, and wasted years become the reason they never build anything of value. They claim to be busy, yet spend 4 hours a night on Netflix. They say they're tired, yet engage in endless gossip. They claim ignorance, saying they don't know where to start, yet never make a move. Time then becomes either their greatest enemy or their greatest empire. But either way, time never waits. If you're serious about wealth, kill your distractions. Audit every hour. Build your schedule like your fortune depends on it, because it does. And when you've mastered time, you must develop resilience. Resilience is what separates dabblers from dominators, dreamers from doers. Most people crumble at the first sign of difficulty, but every legend knows the truth. Setbacks are the test. When Henry Ford's investors backed out, he started again. When Disney was told he lacked imagination, he went harder. When Oprah was humiliated and fired, she rose even higher. They didn't whine, they didn't beg. They didn't ask, "Why me?" They asked, "What now?" People lose not because the wall is too high, but because they believe it can't be climbed. They see failure as the end, while winners see failure as data, as redirection, as the friction that sharpens their edge. Every fall is a forge. Steel is not made in comfort. Diamonds are not born without pressure. And wealth is not created without resilience. You will be rejected, doubted, mocked, and misunderstood. Perfect. That's your training ground. You were not born to be average. You were born to become extraordinary through fire, and for that you must keep walking. Most people fail at wealth because they never develop adaptability. They stay loyal to what used to work. They fear change. They resist evolution. But the marketplace never stops shifting. Technology rewrites the rules daily. If you don't adapt, you'll evaporate. Think of Kodak. Think of Blockbuster. They were giants until they refused to pivot. Now look at Amazon, Tesla, and those who move faster than fear. Adaptability isn't luck. It's the decision to grow faster than your comfort zone can hold you back. So if your income is flat, learn. If your environment is toxic, leave. If your habits are outdated, break them. If your beliefs no longer serve you, evolve them. The ability to release the old is the beginning of building the new. Wealth moves, wealth breathes, and only the bold ride its waves. But beyond action lies vision, because even the most gifted man dies poor if he walks without vision. Vision is not fantasy, it's not someday or maybe. It's a picture in your mind so vivid that it haunts you. It wakes you up early and won't let you rest until it's reality. People don't fail due to lack of resources. They fail because they never define where they're going. They wander and wonder why they never arrive. So ask yourself, where are you headed? Can you describe it? Can you see it? Until your future feels more real than your past, you'll keep living in loops. But when your vision is locked in, your thoughts sharpen, your actions align, and your entire life begins to orbit around that mental image. And then there's your environment. Because it doesn't matter how powerful your potential is, if you plant yourself in poisoned soil, you won't grow. That's where most people lose. They keep toxic surroundings, entertain mediocrity, and listen to the opinions of people who've built nothing. They say they want millions, but spend their time with people who dread Mondays and live for weekends. They speak of success, but drown themselves in gossip, doubt, and fear. Understand this. Your environment is never neutral. It's either fueling your greatness or feeding your failure. Carnegie surrounded himself with visionaries. Ford collaborated with inventors. Hill was mentored by moguls. Even Jesus chose his 12 with care. So, who walks beside you? Do they challenge you to rise, or cheer for your stagnation? You can't elevate when your circle applauds your comfort. You can't lead when you're addicted to being liked. Wealth requires you to defend your space like your destiny depends on it, because it does. Let the small-minded call you selfish. Let the average person say you've changed. Because change is the prerequisite to greatness. The price of wealth is shedding every part of you that tolerated life without it. And now we reach one of the most misunderstood traits of all: gratitude. Not the soft, surface-level kind, but the fierce, focused gratitude that coexists with ambition. The kind that says, I'm thankful, but I'm not finished. It whispers, I honor the journey, but I'm still climbing. That believes you can appreciate what is while building what will be. Most people get stuck because they think gratitude means settling. They say, this is enough, not because of peace, but out of fear that reaching for more might cost them what little they have. But real gratitude doesn't limit you. It launches you. You can love your life and still demand more from it. The richest spirits are those who remember their roots, but refuse to let their roots define their roof. Say thank you for every dollar and still build your empire. Say thank you for every win and still chase the next mountain. Gratitude without growth is stagnation, but gratitude with expansion, that's how legacies are built. And now let's get brutally honest. Most people fail at wealth not because of strategy, but because of emotional weakness. They fold at rejection. They crumble under pressure. They call discomfort overwhelm. But wealth does not pause for your feelings. It does not negotiate with your fear. It does not give discounts for your doubt. And no, that's not harsh. That's reality. And reality is the arena where champions are made. The greats feel fear and still act. They feel doubt and still move. They feel stress and still show up. You think that's unfair? You're right, it is. But here's the paradox. The moment you stop waiting for life to be fair is the moment you begin to win. Because now, you're no longer playing the game of comfort. You're playing the game of power. You've accepted that wealth, success, and greatness aren't given. They are taken by those who dominate their inner world. Control your thoughts. Command your emotions. Own your reactions. That is the battlefield. That is the invisible ground where fortunes are built. And now we come to the ultimate reason most people fail at wealth. They never truly decide. Not fully. Not deeply. Not in a way that's final. They want wealth, yes, but only if it's convenient, only if it comes quickly, only if it doesn't demand sacrifice. So they dabble, they try, they experiment. They dip one toe in and wonder why the ocean doesn't part for them. But every empire builder, every millionaire, every legend who changed the world did one thing others didn't. They made a decision. A clear, firm, and non-negotiable decision. They burned the boats, closed the exits, looked life in the eye and said, I will or I will die trying. And that decision? It rearranges your energy. It reshapes your identity. It sends a signal to the universe that says, I'm done playing. I'm here to claim. Because until you decide, nothing aligns. People don't show up. Opportunities don't land. Doors don't open for the man who still has 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So decide. Decide that poverty ends with you. Decide that your children will inherit wealth, not wounds. Decide that your name will echo when you're gone, not with whispers but with honor. Because wealth isn't built by talent alone. It's not just about intelligence or charm or luck. It's built through decision, powered by discipline, fueled by resilience, and held together by vision that never dies. You want to know how you win? You win by becoming the person no one can ignore, not by gimmicks, not by inheritance, but by force of character, by becoming the person who moves mountains even when no one is watching. You stop waiting to be chosen. You choose yourself. You stop waiting for the right moment. You move while it's messy. You stop begging for chances. You create them, brick by brick, in the silence of early mornings and the solitude of late nights. That's how you win. You win when you stop giving your power away, when you stop blaming the economy, the politics, your parents, your pain. You win when you realize that no one is coming to save you and no one can stop you but you. And when that truth hits you, something shifts. The weight of blame disappears. The fog of excuses clears. The delays, the distractions, the doubts, they burn in the fire of a made-up mind. You stop wishing. You start working. You stop waiting. You start walking. You stop hiding. You start building. That's how the 3% are made. They aren't born to be chosen. They are forged in silence, in rejection, in repetition, in fire. While the 97% look for shortcuts, the 3% build foundations. While the 97% chase comfort, the 3% chase challenge. While the 97% stay broken, tired, scattered, and scared, the 3% take every wound, every rejection, every obstacle, and turn it into gold. And now I ask you, which one are you? Because this isn't a motivational speech. This is a war cry for your future. Every day, with your discipline, your habits, your focus, you are casting a vote. Not with your words, but with your alignment. So let me be clear. Wealth is not money. Wealth is control over yourself. Wealth is waking up when you don't feel like it. Wealth is showing up when no one's clapping. Wealth is holding the vision when the results aren't there yet. It's planting seeds even when the harvest feels impossibly far. Wealth is the product of thousands of invisible decisions no one sees, made with relentless consistency. It is forged in quiet moments and revealed in loud victories. And if you're still here, if your pulse is racing and your spirit is stirred, then listen closely. That voice inside you, that's not random. That's your higher self, calling you to rise, calling you home, home to your greatness, home to your mission, home to the wealth that's already yours if you have the courage to claim it. So rise, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. Now, get clear, get focused, get relentless, because while most will fail at wealth, you won't. You will build, you will become, you will rise, not just rich in money, but rich in meaning, rich in discipline, rich in life. That's how you win, and that's who you are. Now go prove it.